We're discussing a phenomenon associated with childbirth. Well, we call it postpartum depression. And yes, postpartum depression. And listen, this is usually associated, or should I say linked, to new moms. And when it happens, because you're still hormonal, you kind of go through some of the symptoms, you know, while you were pregnant. And I'm talking mood swings and all of that. Well, our guests are in the studio right about now. Let's quickly move to our guests and find out exactly what it even means when we say postpartum depression. So our guest, Aku Hefron, clinical psychologist and lecturer, Central University College.
Hello, Aku.
Hi.
You're welcome.
Great. And Emefa Tamaklo is a first-time mother. Emefa, thanks for joining us, ladies. Okay, so let me put this question to you first of all, Aku. So you are a clinical psychologist. When we say postpartum depression, what do we mean?
We mean depression that occurs mostly after delivery. So it's more like postnatal depression. And that, like you rightly said, is as a result of at times problems with hormonal balances or imbalances for that matter. Yeah, so then it causes the parent or the mother especially to feel she's not, maybe she doesn't have the right support systems. She feels sad, sort of, rather than happy.
Yeah, I mean, everybody will expect that you have
a baby and you should be on a high. But they rather, due to certain imbalances in their hormonal system, get into depression. That means they go low. And that makes some of them cry. They do all the negative things that...
I don't know if this can be described as postpartum depression, though, but how about, you know, in a case where, fine, you know, usually some mothers, new mothers, do not have help once the baby pops. And then you're having to do everything, and so you definitely are kind of depressed and down, and, you know, that kind of thing.
With some of them, they claim those are some of the reasons why they get into that.
How about the scenario where you have the help, though, but you still want to be the one to be with the baby. You still want to be the one to do all the work, and eventually you take ill.
Well, if you take ill, it depends on what illness you're suffering from. It doesn't necessarily mean that you go into depression.
Okay.
Listen, I'm never in my life going to get any of these hormones you're talking about because I'm just the wrong sex. But you say a woman becomes hormonal. What hormones are we talking about? And why do these hormones appear and go
we have
after childbirth?
That go on to enable the child grow in you, so that after that you're expecting that everything gets back to its normal balance. Unfortunately, some of them, like the thyroid, etc., go either too high or too low, and then those are the sort of things that will cause the hormonal imbalances.
How widespread is postpartum depression in Ghana?
Quite widespread. Unfortunately, we don't recognize it as such and treat it as such. So it's just a few who may know about it, who then go about seeking help for it. Otherwise, they just say, oh, she should be happy, rather than being happy, she's sad. And they aggravate your situation, you know.
So what you're saying is that in most cases, the women themselves do not even know that they're depressed. They are in that situation. They don't,
and neither do their helpers.
Let's come to you, Emefa. Emefa, so you're a first-time mom. Do you want to share with us your experience?
Okay, I personally didn't know I was depressed. Let's say after the baby came, and I realized sometimes I become sad all of a sudden, then I start crying.
Okay.
Yeah. It started when I realized I had a very large family, but they were not coming. So
if you say they were not coming, what do you mean?
Like I expected my family
help,
yes, to come, and when at the mere thought of it that they were not coming, I think that was why I wept. I really cried. It continued for like a week and two, and it even increased my BP. Yeah. My BP was very high. And I think it was all because of that. I didn't know it was depression.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was later on that I realized that it's something.
Right,
like that.
Aku.
So how did
we'll
you
come
find
back.
out? Okay.
Let me come back to you, Aku. So we're quickly taking a dip around the world in 60 seconds, and we will be back to continue our conversation on postpartum depression.
Parts of Britain will be lashed by high winds and heavy rains today as storm emoji moves in. German Chancellor Angela Merkel is visiting Ankara to discuss measures to stem the flow of refugees bound for Europe as tens of thousands of Syrians remain stranded at the border. A woman found shielded under the body of her husband has been pulled out alive from a toppled high-rise apartment building in Tainan 48 hours after a powerful quake struck southern Taiwan, killing at least 36 people. A UN UNESCO publication says that thousands of African children lack textbooks, as according to the publication, textbooks are essential for meeting the UN-backed Sustainable Development Goals.
So that was the world right now, and we managed to put all of that in 60 seconds. Back to the studio and to our conversation. Doc, you were asking MFI a question just before that we went on that.
Yes, I was finding out from her how she recognized later that
Exactly.
it was postpartum depression.
MFA.
I went on the internet. I checked online.
What got you to check?
Okay,
Why
I've
did
been
you
following,
think that?
I have this program. They send me newsletters every time and then. So I think they sent something about depression.
Okay.
Yeah, and theirs was pregnancy blue. So I went to find the meanings, and I realized it was related to what I was going through.
You had all the symptoms.
It had all the symptoms. Yeah, it had all showed.
So, Doc, how are you able to tell as a first-time mom that indeed I am depressed? Yes, we said early on, you have a baby and everybody would think that you should be happy. I was sharing my experience with you where, for me, I had struggled to get one. Okay, my first daughter, my first child is my number 3.
Okay.
Yes, and I believe that because I had gone through all of that, the moment she arrived,
excited.
I was so excited. I wanted to do everything. I had help, but I still wanted to be the one to do everything.
Of course.
You know, so take us through that steps. That fine. If I don't have that, knowledge of what exactly that means, how am I able to tell from everything that I'm going through that this is it?
So, under normal circumstances, anyone who's delivered is excited. So if you are not excited, you know that there's a problem. Again, if you see a child and instead of getting happy, you get sad, you start weeping with no very good reasons why, then you should know that there's something wrong. If all the things that you'd usually do as a mother, you don't want to do, some of them don't even want to carry their babies.
Yes.
And when it happens like that, you realize that there's a problem with you. And that's where you need to start seeking help as soon as possible, because there's some who don't seek help and then it aggravates into a
And all of these are informed by these hormonal changes that we're talking about.
Exactly.
That's serious.
I was watching a documentary on postpartum depression, and then in some cases, the condition progressed until it became a psychosis.
Exactly.
And the gentleman comes home and finds that his wife has knifed the baby and also killed herself. This is the scene that greeted him when he got home. It appeared that, and she left a note, and it appeared that she had been depressed for a long time.
Without him noticing.
Without him
any
noticing.
Other one noticing.
Yes, and then she took her life. She killed the baby first and then took her life. Said she started hearing voices.
Exactly.
So can it progress to this,
It does,
this stage?
it does, and it's very scary. It's very scary, and that is why it is important that we do a lot more education on such things, so that we let people become aware of the challenges that come along. We don't just expect them to get excited. We're different. We're wired differently, and therefore we need to ensure that we see everybody as an individual and deal with the person as such.
Whose duty is it to be educating
It's our duty, myself and my colleagues in the psychological
So it means we haven't done enough.
Not at all.
You agree, at least?
Not at all. I
So
do.
what are the measures that you were putting in place to make sure that, you know, education is intense and the message gets to the people?
Well, for now, we haven't started anything, but like what we're doing today is good enough.
Of course.
And I'm hoping that from here we can look at it more intensely and do something, be it radio, be it TV, be it newspapers, whatever.
We're always available. Our doors are always open.
Wonderful.
Emefa, so you found out, you did your research on the internet, you found that you were suffering from postpartum depression. What did you do next?
I think I psyched myself that this is reality. I have a new baby. I have to take care of my baby. I have to be healthy so that my baby take care of my baby. So that's what I did. I psyched myself. Then I had my mother-in-law was also very helpful. So I think from there, then another neighbor the two were very helpful. So I think they encouraged me, they talked to me that I need to be fit for my baby.
Okay, so we have a video about postpartum depression. So let's take a watch and continue the conversation shortly.
Postpartum depression is a form of depression specifically associated with childbirth and throughout the early months of motherhood. According to the American Congress of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, ACOG, between 14 to 23% of women will struggle with some symptoms of depression in pregnancy. Women who have previously dealt with depression are more likely to experience postpartum depression. According to the Center for Disease Control, postpartum depression affects between 10 to 15% of all new mothers. Postpartum depression can be a potentially serious illness and can be harmful or disruptive if left untreated. It is normal to have ups and downs, but sadness that interferes with your normal life is a sign of postpartum depression. Treatment for postpartum depression involves a combination of therapy, group or individual,
Okay, right. And I was sharing with Kafri, in fact, our guest as well, how that anytime that we're talking issues of this nature, we bring in foreign videos. Our research actually suggested that there's very little information on Africans. And I think that kind of ties into what you say, that we are not well informed. We don't know. And this is a very serious situation. 10 to 15%
of all
women experience this. And here we are, we don't even talk about it. What are we doing wrong?
A lot of it, and I would say that to a large extent it comes from the sort of socialization we have, where we aspire, we say everything is either spiritual or something of the sort. You know, we ascribe almost everything that is not normal to spirituality, and therefore would rather go to a priest to pray for us than to seek professional help.
I'm sure there were a lot of them at the, quite a few of them at the Pastor Chris event on Friday.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But Emefa, you mentioned the role of family in getting you back on track.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that. Family, husband, in-laws, support system.
Yeah, I think everybody needs a support system. Yeah, especially if you know you have a family and they are not coming like you expect. Okay, times have changed. I remember those days when we were little, when people give birth in my family, you see everybody is around.
Yeah.
So I guess I was expecting the same thing and it didn't come.
How did it happen? Wait, would you cry for like an hour or two? What were the symptoms?
It was something. Before I realized, like I was in tears and all that.
And you were crying because what, you thought it was too much work for you?
No, not work. In fact, before I even gave birth, I said I was going to do everything myself. But
so you psyched yourself
that
up.
I was going to take care of everything. But it's not like that.
Did you have thoughts about harming the baby? Because sometimes some people in depressive states
I felt sad that I wasn't strong enough for my baby. Yeah, I think that one also comes with the tears.
Did you take medication?
Okay, from not medication, like from hospital, what they gave me to take, that was all I was taking. But
Are you saying that after you reported,
I didn't go
the
to
case,
I
you
didn't
were given
report it
medication?
I didn't go to the hospital to report what I was feeling.
Okay.
No. I
Okay,
didn't.
just psyching yourself up
Yes.
did the trick for you.
Yes,
Aku.
I psyched myself up.
In the video I watched about postpartum depression, so they actually had postnatal visits where the doctor would come to the lady's house and speak about depression. I'm sure that would be unrealistic in Ghana. But what do you say about calls for these, for things like postpartum depression to be addressed after the baby has come out? Postnatal visits.
I think that
We should be testing for this.
Importance to do it even before the people give birth, so that in case they see the symptoms, they're able to deal with them. It's very important.
Oh, okay. And
So during the antenatal sessions, you should have.
Start testing for signs of depression.
Exactly.
And maybe
also
even after,
educate- you know,
because
there are
then
times when you go and they educate you on certain things that you should expect. So then, as part of that, if they could add this issue about possible postpartum depression, it will help.
Because after childbirth, I think all we do is the weighing, which usually is focused on the baby and not you per se. So maybe we could put it in there as well.
Exactly. It will help. It will help.
Exactly. Well, the level of education, but I think for me is very important. Apart from doing this at some of these centers that we talk about, do you think that we could have some coalitions, for instance, that could be propagating this and doing more of education?
Sure.
Is this something that your organization has talked about?
We haven't, but we could speak about it, especially now that I've been invited to talk about this thing. I think I could take it up.
Emefa, we'll leave you with the last word. You went through postpartum depression. Look at the camera and speak to somebody who may be going through that situation and tell them how you got out of it.
I psyched myself that I had to be strong for my baby, and that is what worked for me. But I'm sure if you are going through something like that, you should look at the baby. If something bad happens to the baby, who is going to take care of your baby? The baby needs you. So that was what worked for me. So I think you should just help yourself. It's not easy, but you can do it. I'm over it, and I'm loving my baby more. So just for what I did.
Doc, quickly as we wrap up, though, usually when you go to the psychiatric centers, women we record a lot of cases with women, and it's usually kind of associated with brokenheartedness and all of that. Have we moved to the level where we are recording mental cases in women that are linked to what we're discussing, postpartum depression?
I would not be able to tell you because I don't work in a psychiatric institution. But chances are they are recording them. But you see, again, maybe if the people don't understand it, they may not record it as such.
So education, definitely.
Education is
Knowledge is power.
It is.
Okay, many thanks once again, ladies. Aku Hayfron, clinical psychologist and lecturer, Central University College, and MFA, you are a first-time mom. Good luck.